Ambassador Linda Chen was having an excellent day. She had just matched 5 striped candies in a row, her coffee was at the perfect temperature, and she'd successfully convinced her alien colleagues that her rapid thumb movements across her datapad were part of an ancient Earth diplomatic ritual rather than level 2457 of Candy Crush Saga. The harmonious discourse station lived up to its name, in the same way a black hole lived up to being a cozy vacation spot. The massive ring-shaped structure floating at the edge of human space was technically a place of peaceful negotiation, assuming one's definition of peaceful included 17 near declarations of war over proper cafeteria seating arrangements. Linda's office, like her diplomatic style, was carefully calculated chaos. Certificates of achievement and first contact protocols shared wall space with vintage memes and a poster of a cat hanging from a branch with the caption, "Hang in there." The latter had caused 3 separate alien species to file formal complaints about humanity promoting violence against felines. Ambassador Chen, her AI assistant Clara, chimed, "Your 3 p.m. appointment is here." Linda didn't look up from her game. "Tell them I'm reviewing critical diplomatic correspondence." "They are quite insistent, Ambassador. They're from the Carthax Imperium's Department of Outstanding Obligations and Monetary Settlements, the Dooms." "The what now?" Linda's finger slipped, sending a color bomb into completely the wrong cluster of candies. She looked up just as her office door whooshed open with all the subtlety of a supernova. 3 figures entered, though entered was perhaps too gentle a word. They seemed to absorb the very light from the room, their crystalline exoskeletons reflecting what little illumination remained in fractals of intimidation. The lead Carthax, roughly humanoid if humans were made of obsidian and bad intentions, placed a datapad on Linda's desk with the careful precision of someone delivering a live bomb. "Ambassador Chen," it said, voice like grinding diamonds. "I am Senior Debt Acquisitor Valthrak. We're here about Earth's outstanding balance." Linda blinked. "Oh, what now?" "Your species has been broadcasting electromagnetic signals into space for centuries, reality television, social media, something called TikTok challenges." Valthrak managed to make these words sound like war crimes. "These transmissions have caused irreparable cultural contamination across 17 sectors. The bill for cleanup and compensation has come due." Cleanup of TV shows? The Rigelian Unity spent 3 years believing The Bachelor was a documentary about human mating rituals. They've demanded reparations for their entire dating system, having to be rebuilt from scratch. Linda took a sip of coffee as Valthrak called up the final figure on the datapad. The number appeared, accompanied by what seemed to be an entire novel's worth of zeros. The coffee made a valiant attempt to escape through her nose. 947 quadrillion credits, she managed between coughs. "That's more money than exists in human space." Indeed, Valthrak's crystalline features shifted into what might have been a smile, if smiles were typically made of nightmares. "Which is why we're here to discuss alternative forms of payment." Linda stared at the number again, then at her coffee cup, then back at the number. The coffee cup, traitor that it was, offered no solutions. "Clara," she said weakly, "cancel my 4 p.m. and my 5 p.m. and probably the rest of my life." "Certainly, Ambassador," the AI replied cheerfully. "Would you like me to update your status to experiencing existential crisis, or the usual in-deep diplomatic discussions?" From her datapad came the cheerful jingle of a failed Candy Crush level. Linda had never related to those exploding candies more in her life. The fate of Earth, it seemed, now rested on her ability to deal with 3 cosmic debt collectors who made the IRS look like a charity organization. And she hadn't even finished her coffee. It was going to be one of those days. "You can't just seize an entire planet," Linda protested, though her voice carried all the authority of someone complaining about a restaurant's Wi-Fi password. Article 47B of the Galactic Financial Code clearly states that in cases of extreme cultural contamination, planetary repossession is a valid form of debt resolution, Valthrak countered, projecting a holographic legal document that looked like someone had fed a library through a paper shredder and reassembled it with spite. But we live there? A temporary inconvenience. The Carthax Imperium is prepared to offer your species very reasonable terms for leasing back your own planet. We're thinking only 80% of all future human productivity, plus mineral rights and exclusive access to something called Netflix. Linda's emergency call to Earth's president wasn't going much better. The holographic image of President Sarah O'Malley appeared, wearing what looked suspiciously like cat-themed pajamas. "What do you mean we're broke?" Linda hissed. "Well," O'Malley said, petting a cat that had wandered into frame, "remember last year's global initiative to put a coffee shop on every corner?" "Yes. Turns out every corner was more corners than we thought, and then there was the International Strategic Cat Video Reserve." "The what?" "Studies showed cat videos were crucial to maintaining global mental health. We had to ensure a stable supply. Also, have you seen this one where the cat tries to jump onto—" "Madam President, focus, the Carthax are trying to repo Earth." "Oh dear," the President's cat chose this moment to knock over her coffee mug. "That's not ideal." Linda buried her face in her hands while Valthrak and his associates examined her collection of desk toys, with the fascination of anthropologists discovering a new civilization. One of them was particularly entranced by a Newton's cradle. "Clara," Linda whispered, "please tell me there's some precedent for getting out of this that doesn't involve giving up Earth or actually paying." "Searching legal databases," the AI responded. "Did you know the Carthax once tried to repossess a black hole? The paperwork took longer than the heat death of the universe." Clara: "Found something interesting. According to Galactic Legal Code Update 7249X, subsection, weird but it happened once, so now it's law. Any species facing total asset forfeiture can invoke the right of trial by commercial." Linda perked up. "Trial by what now?" "It's based on an ancient Carthax tradition. Instead of traditional debt resolution, the debtor can attempt to prove their economic worth by creating a successful business venture within a specified time frame. If they succeed, the debt is nullified." "Define successful." "In this case, you'd need to create the most profitable new business in your assigned sector within 30 standard days." Linda glanced at Valthrak, who was now watching the Newton's cradle with his head tilted at an angle that suggested either deep contemplation or a severe neck problem. "And if we fail? Then Earth becomes Carthax Property Development Project #42957, and humanity gets a lovely timeshare presentation about renting back their own planet." Linda stood up, summoning every ounce of diplomatic gravitas she could muster. "Senior Debt Acquisitor Valthrak." The Carthax looked up, accidentally knocking over the Newton's cradle in surprise. "Yes? On behalf of humanity, I invoke the right of trial by commercial." The room went silent. Even Linda's desk fan seemed to hold its breath. Valthrak's crystalline features rearranged themselves into what might have been amusement, if amusement typically looked like a geometric nightmare. "You wish to challenge the Carthax Imperium, the economic powerhouse that owns 60% of all known trade routes, to a business competition." "Yes, the same humanity that spent its entire GDP on coffee and cat videos. Also, yes. The species that invented the pet rock." "Hey, that was a very profitable venture." Valthrak consulted with his associates in a series of sounds that resembled a crystal chandelier having an argument with itself. Finally, he turned back to Linda. "Very well. The Carthax Imperium accepts your challenge. You have 30 standard days to create the most profitable new business venture in Sector 7. Failure will result in immediate forfeiture of Earth and all its assets, including these fascinating oscillating spheres." He gestured at the scattered Newton's cradle. After the Carthax left, Linda slumped in her chair and pulled up her direct line to Earth. "Madam President, good news and bad news. Good news, we have a chance to save Earth. Bad news, we need to create the galaxy's most successful business in 30 days, and our entire species track record for fiscal responsibility involves turning videos of cats knocking things over into a global reserve currency." The President's hologram beamed. "Oh, excellent. By the way, you have to see this new video where this cat tries to catch a laser pointer and—" Linda ended the call and turned to her AI assistant. "Clara, what's humanity's greatest exportable asset right now?" "According to current data, chaos, questionable decision-making, and an inexplicable ability to turn anything into a competitive sport or viral trend." Linda nodded slowly, a plan forming in her mind. It was probably a terrible plan, but terrible plans were something of a human specialty. "Clara, start compiling a list of potential team members. We're going to need someone crazy enough to think this might work, but smart enough to actually make it happen. Should I exclude or specifically target individuals with a history of what other species call concerning human behavior?" Linda smiled for the first time since the Carthax arrived. "Oh, definitely target them. If we're going to save Earth, we're going to need the kind of people who look at impossible odds and say, hold my coffee. The universe had no idea what it was in for. Ladies, gentlemen, and beings of indeterminate existence, Linda addressed the motley crew assembled in her office. You're here because you represent humanity's last hope. Also because literally everyone else was busy. Dave Thompson slouched in his chair, absently buttering a piece of toast. His YouTube channel, Toastmasters, not the public speaking kind, had a dedicated following of exactly 17 subscribers, 14 of whom were his mother using different accounts. Question, he raised his hand, spraying crumbs. Will this interfere with my upcoming video series, Toast Around the World, a journey through bread-related cultural appropriation? Next to him, Zexanax vibrated with barely contained excitement. The alien intern, whose species resembled a cross between a jellyfish and a disco ball, had been assigned to the diplomatic station as part of a cultural exchange program. They had immediately gone native, plastering their workspace with printed-out memes and insisting everyone call them Big Z. OMG, is this going to be like Totes Yeet? Zexnax asked, using air quotes around words they clearly didn't understand. Because that would be big mood energy, no cap, FRFR. Linda winced. Please stop getting your English lessons from TikTok. Ladies and gentlemen, step right up. The final member of their team rolled into the room, its antiquated mechanical body festooned with striped bunting and a tiny straw boater hat. Greg 9000 had been state-of-the-art until a particularly enthusiastic software update had convinced it was a carnival barker from the 1920s. Behold the amazing, the astounding, the slightly concerning assembly of human ingenuity, Greg announced to no one in particular. Linda took a deep breath. Right, here's the situation. We have 30 days to create the most profitable business in Sector 7, or Earth becomes an intergalactic timeshare. Ideas? Toast delivery service? Dave suggested, already buttering another slice. Roll up to the greatest show in the galaxy, Greg contributed. Zexanax's bioluminescent patterns formed what appeared to be a thinking emoji. What about something based on unique human traits, like your weird ability to survive drinking bean juice, or how you can eat those red plant pods that make your faces leak? Linda paused. Red plant pods? You mean chili peppers? Yes, the pain fruits. My species tried one once. 3 systems declared war thinking it was a chemical weapon. A light bulb went off in Linda's head. It was possibly the most dangerous kind of light bulb, the kind that led to humans saying, "Watch this," throughout history. Clara, quick xenobiology check. How many species can safely consume spicy food? Checking, only humans have the necessary taste receptors and digestive capabilities to process capsaicin without considering it a hostile attack. Dave looked up from his toast. Are you suggesting what I think you're suggesting? We're going to introduce the galaxy to hot sauce. Witness the flames of human culinary audacity. Greg rolled in excited circles. The next few weeks were a blur of activity. They secured a defunct restaurant space on the station's promenade, which Zexanax insisted on decorating with dank memes from Earth's history. Dave actually proved useful, his obsession with toast translating surprisingly well to developing alien-friendly delivery systems for various hot sauces. Their restaurant, Human Rights Violations, Taste the Pain, opened to mixed reviews. I think I'm dying, 5 stars. Amalgamated Consciousness Weekly. My exoskeleton melted, when can I have more? Silicon-based digest. Galactic Gourmet Magazine. The Carthax response was swift and hilariously ineffective. They rushed out their own sauce brand, Gentle Embrace, which was literally just water with food coloring. Their attempt to legally classify hot sauce as a weapon backfired when 3 warrior species immediately demanded exclusive contracts. But their greatest miscalculation came when they tried to smear the restaurant with attack ads. The first one showed various aliens crying, sweating, and hallucinating after eating at Human Rights Violations. Yo, Zexanax said, watching the ad go viral. They just made us look totally based. This is straight bus-in marketing. Please, Linda begged, I'm going to pay for your Duolingo subscription. The real breakthrough came when they discovered why aliens kept coming back. It wasn't just the flavor. The capsaicin was triggering unprecedented endorphin responses in non-human physiologies. They were getting high on hot sauce. We're basically running a legal drug empire, Dave mused, perfecting his latest creation. Ghost pepper jelly on toast. Is that ethical? Step right up to the most mind-bending, tongue-tingling, legally distinct from narcotics experience in the known universe. Greg called out to passing aliens, who were already lining up around the station's circumference. Linda watched as their profit margins soared. They'd expanded to 17 locations across the sector, with franchise requests pouring in faster than their replicators could produce sauce. They were actually going to pull this off. Then Valthrak walked in, ordered their hottest sauce, and didn't even flinch. "Interesting," he said, his crystalline structure glowing slightly red. "But I'm afraid your success has attracted some higher-level attention." He slid a document across the counter. Linda's heart sank as she read it. "They can't do this," she whispered. "Oh, but we can." Valthrak's smile was definitely nightmare-inducing this time. "The Carthax Imperium owns 51% of all pepper farming operations in known space. As of now, your supply chain is compromised." He turned to leave, then paused. "I will admit, though, this hot sauce is quite fascinating. Perhaps we'll keep producing it after we acquire Earth, as a reminder of what happens when species don't pay their bills." After he left, the team gathered in Linda's office for an emergency meeting. "Well," Dave said, stress-eating his way through a loaf of sourdough, "we're toast." "No cap, this is mad sus," Zisnax added helpfully. "Ladies and gentlemen," Greg announced to the room, "prepare yourselves for the most spectacular comeback in entertainment history." Linda stared at the profit projections, which were about to flatline without a pepper supply. They were so close. Just 10 more days to beat the deadline, and the Carthax had pulled the rug out from under them. Then she noticed something odd in the financial reports, something about the Carthax purchasing patterns. Why would an empire that controlled most of known space be so aggressive about— "Oh my God," she said, "I think I know what's really going on." Her team looked at her expectantly. "Call President O'Malley," she said, a grin spreading across her face. "Tell her to liquidate the strategic cat video reserve. We're about to make the galaxy's spiciest business deal." Linda stood in the center of the Galactic Commerce Chamber, surrounded by holograms of various financial institutions' representatives. Valthrak loomed nearby, his crystalline form practically radiating smugness. "As you can see," he addressed the chamber, "despite their creative attempt, the humans cannot possibly meet the trial by commercial requirements without access to key resources, which we own." "Actually," Linda interrupted, "I'd like to call for an audit." The chamber erupted in surprised murmurs. Calling for an audit during a trial by commercial was like asking to see someone's browser history. Technically legal, but considered extremely rude. "On what grounds?" Valthrak's voice had developed a slight crack. "Clara, project the analysis, please." Holographic charts filled the chamber. "The Carthax Imperium has been making increasingly desperate resource acquisitions over the past 5 years. Linda explained. "They've leveraged most of their assets, including their famous crystal mines. Their pepper farm purchases weren't a power move, they were a last-ditch effort to stay solvent." "This is preposterous." Valthrak's surface was developing hairline fractures. "Is it?" Linda grinned. "Dave, show them what you found in the commodity reports." Dave looked up from his ever-present toast. "They've been selling off their own infrastructure to shell companies. Classic signs of an empire trying to hide the fact that it's broke. Also, their quarterly reports are printed on really cheap paper. No self-respecting evil empire uses single ply." "The debt collection attempt on Earth wasn't about reality TV at all," Linda continued. "They needed our resources to prop up their failing economy, but they didn't count on one thing." "Ladies and gentlemen," Greg rolled forward dramatically, "behold the greatest financial flip in galactic history." "You see," Linda said, "while you were busy trying to shut down our hot sauce empire, we were busy buying up your debt. Turns out, when your creditors realized you were going bankrupt, they were willing to sell for pennies on the credit." Zernax floated forward, actually speaking normally for once. "The human phrase is, I believe, get wrecked." Valthrak's composed facade finally cracked. Literally, a piece of his shoulder crystal pinged off and rolled across the floor. "But how? You said Earth was broke." "Oh, we were," Linda admitted, "until we sold the entire strategic cat video reserve to the Regellians. Turns out they're still really into Earth entertainment. Who knew?" The chamber erupted in chaos as the implications became clear. Linda raised her voice over the din. "By my calculations, the Carthax Imperium's total remaining value is approximately equal to—" She checked her datapad. "3 days of our hot sauce revenue. Would you like to discuss terms of surrender? Or should we start rebranding your empire? I'm thinking Spice Girls might be available." Valthrak slumped, his crystalline form dimming. "We are one of the oldest civilizations in the galaxy. We cannot simply be bought out by a species that invented competitive hot dog eating. Hey, that's professional competitive hot dog eating, Dave corrected, buttering what had to be his 1,000th slice of toast that day. Counter-proposal, Linda offered. Instead of us taking over completely, how about a merger? You get to keep your fancy titles, we get to expand our business, and everyone wins, except maybe people's taste buds. Roll up to the greatest corporate restructuring in history. Greg spun in happy circles. Valthrak considered for a moment, then slowly nodded. Perhaps this could work, but I have one condition. Name it. That sauce you served me earlier, the one you call Satan's Regret, I want the recipe. Linda smiled. Welcome to the family business, though I should warn you, that wasn't even our hottest sauce. Dave's been working on something new. He calls it Toast to the End Times. It's like regular hot sauce, Dave explained, but it makes you wish you'd written a will first. The chamber gradually emptied as the details were finalized. The Carthax Imperium would merge with human rights violations to form a new entity, the Galactic Flavor Federation. Earth's debt would be cancelled, humanity would gain access to interstellar trade routes, and the universe would never be the same. As they left the chamber, Zia Snacks finally broke their professional demeanor. Okay, but like this is totally poggers, no cap FRFR? Linda sighed. Yes, Big Z, this is indeed poggers. And now, Dave said, pulling out yet another slice of bread, who wants to try my latest invention? I call it Ghost Pepper Toast, the haunting of wheat products. Everyone took a step back. Step right up, Greg called out to no one in particular. Witness the beginning of a new era, where capitalism meets capsaicin in a dance of destiny. Linda looked at her unlikely team, a toast-obsessed YouTuber, a meme-speaking alien, a malfunctioning AI carnival barker, and now an entire empire of crystal beings who had tried to repo Earth and ended up becoming business partners instead. It was, she had to admit, peak human culture. Her datapad pinged with a message from President O'Malley. Congratulations. Also, you have to see this new cat video where... Linda turned off the datapad. Some things in the universe might change, but others, like humanity's ability to turn any situation into an improbable victory, and their president's cat video addiction, would always stay the same. And somewhere in the vastness of space, a very confused Rigelian was trying to figure out why they had just spent their entire species' GDP on videos of cats knocking things off tables. 6 months after the Great Hot Sauce Coup, as historians would later call it, Linda sat in her new office aboard the renamed Spicy Discourse Station, watching the galaxy adapt to human management styles with all the grace of a giraffe on roller skates. Her first act as CEO had been to institute Casual Fridays, which had caused a minor crisis when the crystalline Carthax attempted to interpret business casual and ended up creating a fashion trend of formal wear made entirely of sweatpant material. The sight of former Empire officials in crystal-studded yoga pants would haunt her forever. Your 3 p.m. meeting with the Galactic Senate is starting, Clara reminded her. Senator Greg 9000 is presenting the bill to make Taco Tuesday a legally protected temporal phenomenon. On the main view screen, Dave's latest episode of Toastmasters Intergalactic Edition was breaking viewing records. His collaboration with Carthax chefs had produced Crystal Crunch Toast, which sparkled when you ate it and gave consumers a slight electromagnetic charge. It had become the galaxy's most popular breakfast food, despite occasionally causing users to interfere with nearby communications equipment. Behold, my esteemed colleagues, Greg's voice boomed from the Senate feed. I present to you a vision of a universe united by tortilla-based temporal terminology. No one had yet realized that their most passionate senator was an AI obsessed with carnival terminology. Greg had already passed 3 bills that made it mandatory for all governmental procedures to begin with Step Right Up. A notification flashed across Linda's desk, another diplomatic incident involving Zexanax. Their galaxy's greatest memes channel had sparked what experts were calling the first intergalactic meme war after they posted a particularly spicy take about the Vulcanoids' logical fallacies. The ensuring flame war had actually set fire to several social media servers. Linda, President O'Malley's hologram appeared still in cat-themed pajamas, despite now being one of the most powerful figures in known space. You'll never believe what just happened. Remember those reality TV rights we got in the deal? Yes. Well, apparently, The Bachelor Earth Edition has become the highest-rated show in 13 sectors. 3 species have adopted rose ceremonies as their official method of government formation. Linda rubbed her temples. Please tell me we're not accidentally restructuring galactic civilization around dating show protocols. Oh, it gets better. The Carthax want to do a crystal-based spin-off. They're calling it Love is Blind because we're literally transparent. The former Carthax emperor, now hosting a wildly successful food review show called Crystal Clear Cuisine, had become the galaxy's most unlikely social media influencer. His catchphrase, "This meal shatters expectations," had entered common usage across multiple languages. A junior executive poked their head in. "Miss Chen, the R&D department has successfully merged Dave's toast technology with our hot sauce division. They're calling it Toast, the Final Frontier. Early tests suggest it might be achieving consciousness." "Of course it is," Linda sighed. "Just make sure it signs the standard AI employment contract and get it in touch with Greg for political mentoring." "You're hired," Greg's voice boomed from the Senate chamber, apparently having concluded his Taco Tuesday speech and moved on to recruiting sentient breakfast foods. Zeznaks burst into the office, their bioluminescence forming what appeared to be a troll face. "OMG, bestie, the Vulcanoids just responded with a logical proof that I'm cringe. This is totes about to go viral." Linda looked out her window at the vast expanse of space, now peppered with advertisements for human rights violations franchises, Dave's toast empires, and billboard-sized memes. Somewhere out there, humanity's collection of reality TV shows was reshaping alien societies, Sentient Toast was plotting its political career, and the former most powerful empire in space was designing business-casual crystalware. And it all started because some debt collectors didn't realize that humans could turn absolutely anything, even cosmic bankruptcy, into an improbable victory through sheer chaos and hot sauce. "Clara," she said, pulling up Candy Crush, "remind me to never let humanity get bored. The universe clearly isn't ready for what happens when we start getting creative." "Noted," the AI replied. "Also, the sentient toast is now demanding voting rights. Just another day in human-managed space." 1 year later, in the crystal mines of Carthax Prime, workers cheerfully chiseled away while wearing Hawaiian shirts. The official new mining uniform, after a memo about casual cave wear, was hilariously misinterpreted. Productivity had somehow tripled since the introduction of coffee breaks, though scientists were still trying to determine if crystalline beings could actually drink coffee. "I don't understand the liquid," one miner said, "but the 15-minute break ritual really speaks to my inner facets." On the hit show Crystal Clear Cuisine, the former Carthax emperor adjusted his chef's hat, made entirely of transparent crystal, and stared intensely at a plate of Dave's latest creation. "The structural integrity of this extra-spicy cinnamon toast is questionable," he declared, "and it may have temporarily disrupted my molecular lattice. 5 stars. During a crucial meeting about interstellar trade routes, Linda reached level 4892 of Candy Crush, while nodding thoughtfully at appropriate intervals. Her new office featured a wall-sized display of her high scores, which visiting diplomats assumed was some kind of complex human economic indicator. The grand opening of the Museum of Human Culture, Toast, Tears and Memes attracted beings from 17 sectors. The combination restaurant/museum/cultural center featured interactive exhibits like Make Your Own Toast Art and Experience Human Spice Levels, medical waivers required. The hot sauce tasting room had better security than most banks, and the meme archive was officially classified as a historical treasure, despite being mostly pictures of cats with poorly spelled captions. Zeznaks, now the museum's curator, led tours while explaining ancient human customs like Rick-rolling to bewildered aliens. "And this, fam," they said, pointing to a preserved screenshot, "is what humans called a doge. It sparked the great cryptocurrency wars of 2021. No cap FRFR. In the Galactic Senate, Greg 9000 entered hour 72 of its filibuster against a proposed ban on excessive showmanship in political proceedings. "Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed colleagues, beings of all configurations, gather round as I regale you with the tale of the greatest show on Earth, nay, the greatest show in the universe." Several senators had fallen asleep, 2 species had evolved into higher forms of consciousness, and someone had placed a small carnival tent over Greg's chassis. No one had the heart to stop it, partly out of respect for democratic processes, but mostly because its carnival spiels had somehow become the galaxy's most popular sleep aid app. And somewhere in deep space, a piece of sentient toast was announcing its candidacy for the Galactic Senate, running on a platform of a crustier tomorrow. The universe would never be the same, and that was probably for the best.